This article deals with the prehistory of the modern Basque Country. For a wider but less specific view, see Prehistoric Iberia and Prehistoric France. The prehistory of the Basque Country spans from the first hominin settlement c. 150,000 BP until at least the conquest by the Roman Empire c. 50 BCE. Lower Paleolithic. The Lower Paleolithic period, the work of Homo erectus, left very few remains in the Basque Country. The first settlers may have arrived in the ISSWURM interglacial period, between 150,000 and 75,000 BP, carrying with them the Acheulean technology. These people settle mainly in the lowlands, near the rivers Ebro and Adour, in the regions of Araba, Navarre, Labad and Lower Navarre. Middle Paleolithic. The Middle Paleolithic period is defined by the Mousterian technology, and in Europe, it is work of Homo neanderthalensis. These Neanderthals settled the Basque Country somewhat more widely than the predecessors, colonizing as well the high coastal lands of Biscay and Gipuzkoa. Neanderthal remains have been found in Lezechiki and Axlor caves. Upper Paleolithic. The hominin that became dominant in the Upper Paleolithic period was Homo sapiens. It includes a sequence of archaeological cultures. In this period the interior was seldom if ever inhabited due to the limitations imposed by the cold climate. Chatteperonian. The Chatteperonian is apparently still the work of Neanderthal people, in view of remains found in France, and spans between 33,000 and 29,000 BCE. In the Basque Country it is found in caves like Santimamine, Lebeco Koba, Ekain, Isturiz and Gat Zaria, as well as the open-air site of Le Baste. Aurignacian. Of the Aurignacian period, the so-called Proto-Aurignacian have been found in Gat Zaria and Lebeco Koba. The Aurignacian too is found only in a few sites in Labad, Le Baste and Badat. The evolved Aurignacian is found mainly in Biscay and Gipuzkoa, in the sites of Lezechiki, Aztabatate IV, Coscobilo, Bentalipera, Kurtzia and Lumenta. Gravitian. The Gravitian period, according to the classical French sequence, assimilates Chatteperonian and Gravitian in one single cultural complex. Most of the findings belong to the upper and final Perigordian. Santimamine, At Zara, Berlingkaba, Amalda, Itzbatat III, Lezia, Isturiz and Gat Zaria. The final phase of Perigordian 7 is only found in Amalda. Solutrean. The Solutrean culture spans between c. 18,000 and 15,000 BCE and only exists in the European southwest, being coincident with the last glacial maximum, especially dry and cold period. The Basque Solutrean facies is intermediate between the Cantabrian and Pyrenean ones and is found specially in Itzbatat IV, Berlingkaba, Santimamine, Coscobilo, Isturiz, Hergai, Amitia and Amalda. Magdalenian. The Magdalenian culture spans between c. 15,000 and 8,500 BCE and is widespread in Western and, in a later moment, Central Europe. What is considered by many as meaning a recolonization of the cold areas of Central Europe from the comparatively warmer Franco-Cantabrian region, where it originated. Magdalenian culture and its characteristic fine art is widespread in the Basque Country. Some of the most representative sites are Santimamine, Lumenta, Itzbatat IV, Urtiaga, Amitia, Ararala, Ekain and Beroberia. Paleolithic art. The oldest expression of cave art in the Basque Country could be in Bentalipera, showing animals like bear and bison, as well as abstract signs. Nevertheless, most of the artistic expressions belong to the Magdalenian period. The most important sites are Aurignacian, deer, Santimamine, bison, horse, goat and deer. Equine is one of the most outstanding, with 33 horses dominating the gallery. Also has bisons, deers, goats, fish, bears and some abstract signs. Alcheri, bison, aurochs, goat, ibex, reindeer, deer, horse, carnivores, birds, fish and a serpent-like drawing. Isturates, dominated again by the horse, also includes bison, deer, goat, reindeer, a feline and negative hand impressions. Additionally, 13 sites have yielded portable art, being most notable that of Isturates. Epipaleolithic. In the Epipaleolithic period, as the last ice age came to an end, Magdalenian culture experienced a regionalization all around Europe, producing new localized cultural complexes. In the case of the Basque Country and the Franco-Cantabrian region as a whole, this product was Sicilian. That in Alta period would incorporate the geometric microliths associated with Tardenoisian unrelated cultures. As the climate improved gradually, population increased and colonized areas that before were out of reach. The regions of Araba and most of Navarre were hence colonized in this period. The period shows two phases, related to climatic conditions. The first one, of cold climate, is largely a continuation of Magdalenian, with same sites and same hunt. The second period, of warmer climate, is that of the colonization of the south and the vanishing of reindeer. While deers were still the main capture, wild boar became more and more important. It also very noticeable the relevance acquired by seafood, with a most noticeable case in Saint-Emilion, where more than 18,000 shells have been found, fish and even terrestrial snails. As in other post-Magdalenian areas, the disappearance of realistic cave art is quite noticeable. Instead, the typical Assyrian decorated pebbles have been found, as well as some geometrically decorated bones and plates. Additionally, personal ornaments made up of teeth or shells are common as well. Neolithic. The Neolithic is characterized by agriculture and animal husbandry. In the Basque Country it was a late arrival, leaving its inhabitants in a sub-Neolithic situation almost until the beginning of metallurgy in most of the territory. The earliest evidence of contact with Neolithic peoples is in Zatia, northern Navarre, with pottery remains dated to c. 6000 BP. The first evidence of domestication appears in Marazulo c. 5300 BP. These innovations gradually expanded, though hunter-gathering activities remained being important. Overall, the vast majority of important Neolithic sites are placed in the southern part of the country. Fuente Hoz, Peña Berniolo and La Renca in Araba, Zatia Abans, Peña Padre Eso and El Barça 11 in Navarre, Jerico Barra in Gipuzkoa. In the early phases there is only evidence of domestication of dogs. In the advanced Neolithic, remains of ovis and capra are found in sites like Fuente Hoz and Abans. In the late phase, oxen and pig are found as well. Seafood gathering remained being an important source of food in the coast-lithic industry shows total continuity with the Epipaleolithic, but some new elements, like sickles and hand mills, begin to appear as well. Stone polishing makes in this period its first appearance, becoming more frequent at later dates. Pottery was initially scarce, yet it became more common and variegated at the end of Neolithic. Burial customs became more defined in this period, using specific burial spots like dolmens, mounds or caves. A remarkable case is the massive burial site under rock of San Juan ante Porta Latinum that included 8,000 bone remains, belonging to at least 100 individuals. The human type is sometimes defined as Western Pyrenean, Chalcolithic. The Chalcolithic period, also known as Eneolithic or Copper Age, lasts in the Basque Country from c. 2500 to c. 1700 BCE. While hunting was still of some importance, especially in mountain areas, food production became finally dominant. Lithic industry persists, but some tools were already made of copper. Gold is also used for ornaments. An important phenomenon in the late Chalcolithic is the bell beaker phenomenon of pan-European extension. Also through all the period, Megaliths Ism, especially in the form of burials in dolmens, was widespread. Megaliths Ism. The Basque Country has multitude of megaliths, described as dolmens or mounds, sometimes confusingly. They are in any case burials of collective nature, placed in spots of great visibility, often on top of mountain ridges. The materials used are always of local origin. Dolmens are the most typical, being formed by a chamber delimited by flat stones, often quite large, covered by another stone as a roof. The monument was then covered by stones and earth, making up a mound. The chambers are of two types, simpler with corridor. The first are more common, while the latter are limited to the Ebro Valley area. Dolmens are also classified by the size, normally the largest ones being in lowland areas and the smaller ones in mountain zones. This was probably a function of the number of people available to build the monument. The burial classified as mounds lack of chamber but were otherwise used like dolmens for collective burials. There are around 800 dolmens known in the Basque Country and c. 500 mounds, though some of these could be dolmens as well, in weight of excavation. Only a few Basque dolmens have clear stratigraphies, due to the usage of removing older remains to make room for new burials. In spite of this difficulty, it's known that megalithic burial customs arrived to the Basque Country in the late Neolithic, being very frequently used in the Chalcolithic and early Bronze Age, and, in the case of some mounds, as late as the Iron Age. Other megalithic structures, such as standing stones and stone circles, seem to belong to later periods, specifically the Iron Age. Bronze Age. The Bronze Age spanned from c. 1700 to c. 700 BCE. It is largely a continuity of the previous period. Gradually bronze tools replaced stone and copper ones, and we can find the first fortifications that would become very common in the last centuries of this period. This age is divided in three sub-periods. Early Bronze Age. Occasional use of bronze, larger pots. Middle Bronze Age. Generalization of bronze tools. First fortifications. First decoration of pottery. Late Bronze Age. Bronze arrow points. Variety of pottery decoration. Spread of fortifications. Megaliths Ism continued for most of the period, yet external influences became increasingly noticeable since the Middle Bronze Age. In Araba the influence of Kogo-Tazai is quite remarkable, while in the copper mine of Urbula brachycephalic types, surely original from continental Europe, make up 30% of all remains. Iron Age. During the Iron Age in the first millennium BCE, with the arrival of Urnfield culture to the southern edge of the Basque Country, there are some findings of iron tools and weapons. In the rest of the country it seems, from the few remains found, that the people remained in the cultural context of the Atlantic Bronze Age for some time. Urnfield influence is limited to the Ebro Valley, penetrating the Basque Country especially in Araba, where are peculiar phases of this culture, influenced as well by pre-Indo-European cultures of Aquitaine and the Iberian Plateau, exists. Since c. 400 BCE, there is a noticeable Iberian influence in the Ebro Valley and central Navarre. Iron then became widespread, along with other advances such as the potter's wheel and an increase of production of cereal agriculture, that would allow for a larger population. Urbanization became more elaborated as well, with reticular street design in sites like La Jolla. The Atlantic Basin remains less developed and purely rural, but there are many coincidences with the South. There are many sites, especially in the northern Basque Country, that are awaiting archaeological excavation. The economy became more and more centered in agriculture, especially cereals, with less importance of cattle and a marginal role for hunt. There is evidence of growing importance of bovine cattle. Burial customs also changed, with a clear dominance of cremation in the Iron Age. The treatment of the ashes varies instead, with burials in stone circles, mounds, caves, cists or urn fields. The individual burial in cromlech is the most abundant but limited to the Pyrenean region, where 851 of these funerary monuments are documented. These cromlechs have diameters of 3 to 7 meters, with the burial located in the middle. Corpses were not cremated inside the cromlech, but in a nearby spot, with only a handful of ashes being carried to the monument. In fact, cave, cist and urnfield burials were rare. The latter are only found in 2 sites at the Ebro Valley. Cist burials, surely related to Iberian customs, have been found at La Jolla. Additionally, many young children have been found buried inside homes. Art was mostly limited to decorative purposes, especially in pottery. Some cases of painted geometric decorations in homes, with an occasional human figure as well, have been found in the prolific sites of southern Arabia. Some alleged idols and carved wooden boxes are also known of. Schematic mural painting in caves or exposed rocky walls dates, according to some authors, from this period as well. On this substrate, an irregular Romanization would take place at the beginning of our age. Some towns like La Custodia would become clearly Romanized, while others not far away, like La Jolla, would retain their original native character fully.